call this meeting to order. First item is approval of the minutes. Folks have had a chance to review the minutes. I guess the last meeting was way back in July.
I motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
Second, all in favor? Opposed? Very good. Thank you. All right, now the time is for public comments. So these are to invite the public to speak on things that aren't on the agenda. Please.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Alexa Hauser. I'm a member of Transition Albany and the coordinator of volunteers for the Edible Landscape Project in your Memorial Park, our Memorial Park, I guess. I'm here tonight to thank you for the grant that you've provided us and the new space for our tools and other supplies. We have finished moving in just this last weekend into the new space and are making plans to demolish the shed and put in the commercial sink and a drainage system into the ground that will support life for new plants. As you know, the space behind the shed is a favorite hangout of teenagers especially, and they've been very prolific writers this year. And so we have a lot of their art and their commentary on the walls of the shed and actually the building as well. But we are going to engage with them in the taking down of the shed and the shaping of the new space because it's everybody's park. And we want them to not feel like we just came in and took away their space. So those are our plans. I would say that by the end of October, the demolition will be completed and we'll have started work on the new life to the space. So again, thank you very much for your support and stop by anytime and enjoy the garden.
All right, thank you. All right, other speakers?
My name is Jim Russell. I'm an Albany resident, and I just wanted to talk briefly about some local interest in an Albany bike park, like a skills mountain biking park. And I mentioned it at the last Parks and Rec meeting, and I've had a lot of subsequent email conversations and discussions with people that in the mountain biking community that are really excited about the idea. But what I'm trying to figure out is how do I progress evaluation of such an idea in an official manner. So I wanted to possibly request that that Pierce Street Park Phase 2 evaluations maybe be commenced sometime soon, or if there's another way to start consideration of that. And I'm sure there'll be a wide range of opinions on it as any community matter. So I've only got sort of one side of it from my perspective, but I want to get the conversation going, and I'm just not sure how to exactly do that. So I don't know if a topic on a future Parks and Rec meeting would be the way to handle it. I'd be happy to present some material on what such a skills park might look like, how much space it might take, if that would be the proper avenue. So just kind of looking for feedback.
Okay, because it's not on the agenda, there's really not a lot we can do at this moment. Right. But yeah, I'm sure we'll consider your suggestion.
Oh, okay.
I actually have his contact info, so it's so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Thanks. You. And he's been in touch with Shelley, I know. Yeah, yeah. Any other speaking on topics that are not on the agenda?
Hi, my name is Ken Lee, and I'm a resident at 1043 Curtis. This is regarding the 5-2, the tree removal.
Okay, this is a time for things that aren't on the agenda.
Okay.
There will come a time, it will come up.
Okay.
And
I was told to. Okay,
absolutely,
right
and
okay.
it's your turn. Appreciate
Great,
it. Thank you. Anybody else have items not on the agenda? Okay. All right, I'm going to close public comment, and we will begin with our items. We'll start with 5-1, tree removal application for Kains Avenue, 921 Kains Avenue. Do we have a presentation on that? Let's see.
So I have an application to remove the 3 Bradford pears in front of the YMCA on Kains, 921 Kains. And I'll show you some slides. There's an overview, the 3 trees. The YMCA is going through some construction, some remodeling. And so this is the first tree coming in from Solano. All 3 of the trees have fire blight. It's afflicting just about every pear tree in the city. And apparently these trees have been pruned several times to remove the affected portions. And this time around, due to the construction, YMCA is asking to have these removed. They want to remove them and replant them with something more suitable and something that's not going to get afflicted with fire blight too. So there's the first tree. There's also some damage due to the construction. There's some bark missing where equipment or trucks hit these trees. There's some sidewalk cracking. This one's not too bad. I think the 3rd tree is pretty bad, sidewalk cracking and lifting. There's some cuts that were made to put up the scaffolding for the work. Not the best thing for the trees. It's kind of after the fact. This has been going on.
Even I could see that wasn't done well.
Yeah. Here's just some smaller broken branches, and you can kind of see a little of the fire blight. You can see some brown leaves in there. You can't really see too much in that picture. But here, it's a little hard to see it's not with the resolution there, but there's some dieback. You can see some of the tips kind of flagging, kind of leaning over, and throughout the tree, there's all different spots of fire blight dieback.
What is fire blight? Is it like contagious? Like, do you need to get rid of it on this tree so that it doesn't spread to other trees?
It'll spread to other pear trees, yeah. So you see it at the tips of a tree start dying, and it kind of works its way in towards the heart of the tree, and you have to continually prune it out, but you never totally get rid of it. It keeps coming back. So here's another. The second tree. There's some more sidewalk cracking. Can't really see that, but where the arrow's pointing, that's a big stub from a large limb that was removed again for scaffolding on the second tree. Here again, there's different points. If this were clearer, you can see a lot of the browning, the dieback on the tree. This is the 3rd tree, tree number 3. So here again, there's some dieback. Here's the sidewalk lifting and cracking. That's pretty significant. That's something where someone can trip on that part of the sidewalk. And that's just an overview of what's going on there now. The scaffolding is right up against the trees. They've been cut back. They're diseased. The middle tree has been kind of stunted. Apparently they were all planted at the same time, and the middle tree looks like half the size of the other 2 trees for whatever reason.
Okay.
And again, yeah, did I go backwards? No. Am I going backwards? Yeah.
All right, thank you. So in your recommendation is that we approve
Due to the fire
application.
blight and the damage that has occurred to them, that they be
Okay.
removed, and YMCA wants to plant with a more suitable tree, and I'm in discussion with them.
Very good.
as to what species.
So bring it back to the commission for a minute. Any clarifying questions, anything you need?
I have a couple questions. So one is that the application for the tree removal was not included in the packet.
Yeah, I saw that too. Is that? I'm sure Isabel doesn't know about that. Okay.
So can you tell us what box was checked? So the box that's checked is the tree is storm damaged, vandalized, diseased, or infected beyond reclamation.
Okay, thank you. Should I hand this back? Anybody want to? Okay.
So your question, your comment about the fire, what's it
Fire
called?
blight.
Fire blight only, can only transmit from one pear tree to another. Are there other pear trees on this block?
I I don't think there are on that specific block, but throughout the city, there are many others, and they all seem to be afflicted.
I have one in my backyard that has signed back.
That's another issue. I'm looking at city trees, if there are private property trees where there are, I've had some calls about that, where people are afraid that their tree's going to become infected from infected city trees.
So one more question. And then, so we also have that issue of the owner, the folks who have the trees in front of their properties, they need to repair the sidewalk one time before the sidewalk is an issue that comes in front, like with the photos here to say that the sidewalk's cracked. Has the sidewalk ever been replaced?
Not that I'm aware, but that's just sort of a secondary issue with the trees. I mean, the fire blight's the main issue. The hacked off limbs is secondary. Maybe the sidewalks is a lesser issue than that.
So the YMCA would be responsible for repairing the sidewalk after the trees are moved?
Yeah.
On that note, I noticed that this area is very constrained. It's particularly constrained right now because of the scaffolding, which I think really emphasizes the narrowness of the sidewalk there. I was wondering if perhaps once these trees are removed and their construction is done, if they could consider whether or not it made sense to replace the tree at that location. It's a kind of a high volume area.
Well, I believe they want to, and I think you can. I mean, there's trees on every street in the city, regardless of how wide the sidewalk or the planting strip is. And we talked about possibly a lefossamine tree, which is a tree that'll grow tall and not so wide, so it'll eventually grow above to where it's open, the front of the building is open, but there's still some shade.
Okay.
There's an exercise room upstairs, and in the evening, the sun's coming right in the window.
I had just noticed that particularly during the construction, they had built something that jutted into the sidewalk. And I think because of the placement of the trees, the accessible path and the lift of the sidewalk, there was minimal accessible path. There wasn't the 4-foot clear that was level, in my unprofessional opinion. And so perhaps that thing that was jutting out from the building was a temporary treatment. I think it was, actually. It was something for them to a ramp during construction.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, that would have to go through planning, I guess, to have permission to intrude onto the sidewalk. So
Yeah.
I think there'll be a 4-foot path. And
Okay.
the part of this discussion about replanting is they're trying to just go with 2 rather than 3 trees. So they have the front, the entrance is in the middle, and they don't want a tree right in front of the entrance. So that's another thing to consider.
That's kind of exactly what I mean. If they could consider the relationship of the building and the pedestrian paths to the trees, I think that there might be some room for not replacing them one for one, if it makes sense in terms of the pedestrian circulation.
Yeah, I prefer 1 for 1 if we can, but if we get 2 nice trees in there.
Or they put the 3rd tree in a different location.
I want to avoid kind of moving into discussion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's a good other discussion, definitely.
Okay.
But
Sorry.
I think they're very valid points.
But the space, the frontage there, really, there should only be 2 trees there. There shouldn't have been 3 trees planted anyway. The trees
One's not doing well
get
anyway.
overcrowded, and maybe why the middle tree was kind of stunted, so.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one more question.
Okay, of course.
So, so the wires. So I have a question about the issue with the trees, growing through the wires. Because on many trees in the city grow up past the wires. The wires are, caught in the leaves. And so is that an issue that would cause us to consider taking a tree down?
It's not necessarily. This is more a PG&E issue. They're required to keep trees from growing into high voltage power lines, and those are pole to pole, the top set, usually where there are high voltage, there's not always high voltage. The wires that you're seeing here are the service drops. Some of them are phone and cable, and some are the PG&E service drop. But that's the household current, 220. It's not considered high voltage. It's insulated. It's twisted around a steel cable that serves as a ground wire and a support. It's kind of designed, the construction is designed to withstand contact with trees. So unless there's real excessive stress on that wire, it's not really a problem. You'll see it everywhere like that. You see wires going through trees like that, the service drop wires. So,
And I just ask because the photos show the trees going through the wire, and it was discussed as one of the issues. And so if it's something we need to consider, then it should be here. But if it's something that really doesn't affect the health of the tree or, our consideration of the tree coming down, then I don't think that we should have those photos which would sway us one way or the other.
yeah,
think
it's not
the-
really an issue of
I
consideration.
think the photos are showing the blight. They're showing that, it just happens to be that the wires are there, but if you look, and the color's hard to see here, but if you see it's brown, yeah. All right, any other questions from the commission? All right, I'll open it for public comment on the application for 921 Kains. Anybody here talking about that application? All right, we'll close that. Okay, any discussion, Britt?
Sorry. I think I've gotten mine done. I will apologize for doing it out of
Oh,
order.
not at all, not at all. All right, we can entertain a motion. Emma, you look like you want to. Well,
Well, I just want to say, I think that these are such beautiful trees, and it's really sad that PG&E came in and did what they did to them, the fire, blight or not. And I would hope that next time we have a construction project that they get you involved, or get someone from the city involved so this doesn't happen. Because if those trees hadn't been trimmed that way, other than that one sidewalk uplift, the other two trees could have been preserved.
Well, yeah, the fire blight is still there. It wasn't PG&E, it was the construction
construction,
companies,
yeah,
whoever put up the scaffolding. But yeah, I'm trying to get a tree protection plan in place that should be part of planning, remodeling, new construction, where there's existing trees. They should have to submit a tree protection plan, make sure they're not cutting trees like that and piling their equipment up against it and hitting it with trucks and bulldozers and all that. So, yeah.
one more question. So a tree has fire blight. How long does it have? And it's
It could go on for years and years, and
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
These apparently have to. The thing is, the cost of going in and pruning it out every year, I mean, eventually, if you don't prune it, it's going to really get deep into the tree and kill the tree.
Okay.
We can keep pruning and pruning and pruning, but then you have a kind of a distorted,
Who knows?
misshapen
Yeah.
tree, and I think for something like this, it's not going to go away. It's better to remove it and replace it.
all right. Are you ready for a motion? I guess I can move if nobody else will do it. I move that we accept the application to remove the trees at 921 Kains Avenue.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you for that. And we can move on now to tree removal application 1028 Curtis Street.
Oh, 1028 Curtis Street. This is a rather nice ginkgo tree that just happens to be a female ginkgo, which is generally not an acceptable tree in a public space due to the fact of the fruiting. And this year, the fruiting is very intense on this tree. The entire tree looks like this. The fruits drop and they rot and they have really, really terrible smell. And I won't start to describe what the smell is described as, but there's just a ton of fruit on this tree this year. And every limb, every branch is just loaded with these fruits. The fruits also contain, how do you say it, orishiol, which is the chemical in poison oak that irritates people's skin, makes you blister and all. So some people are more sensitive than others to it, but if people are picking this up or, I don't know, falling on the fruits even, that's a possible hazard with this tree. There's another shot, just more fruits. The tree is, I've never seen a tree so loaded with ginkgo fruits before. But the issue that the owner really wants to present is that the tree is also lifting the sidewalk. And it appears that that section is newer. It's hard to see here, but that's a newer section. I don't have any receipts or documents, but it's definitely lifting the sidewalk and pushing the curb out a little bit. So this is a tough one. Again, generally, I don't know how this tree got to be there that long, being that it's a female tree and dropping those fruits. Any place else I've seen these, they get removed as soon as it's realized that it's a female ginkgo tree. So it's a tough one, but I would suggest that something like this be removed. There is the sidewalk there. There has been a repair done to it once before, and the fruiting can become a problem.
All right, questions from the commission?
So again, there's no application in the packet. Do you have the application?
The damage to the sidewalk is what's checked, and it says it was repaired at least once. So.
Any other questions?
Are
Yeah,
you
sorry.
recommending a replacement tree?
Yeah, well, anytime we remove a tree, another tree should be replaced. So, and the owner is willing to do that too. He wants to.
Have you thought about what kind of tree then?
It's up to the owner. I mean, we have a couple different approved lists, approved tree lists, but it's up to them. If they can't decide or need help, I help them out and help them try to choose another species. Yeah.
Any other questions?
So on your point, sorry. Maybe this is the last one.
Well, you're
Okay,
here.
so on your point matrix, I haven't been keeping track of the average tally, but this tally of, is it 106 for this tree? How does that compare to the other trees that you usually recommend removal of?
Well, you know, the point, the total point isn't really like a score determining whether the tree should be removed or not. This is more a checklist for me to make sure that I'm looking at every different feature, every little thing that I should be looking at on the tree, and I give it a score. So it's more a point of how many 2s or 1s or maybe 3s there are as opposed to 4, which is normal, healthy. So yeah, generally the tree is very healthy, although often heavy fruiting kind of indicates that the tree's has some kind of stress. Maybe the drought is why this tree fruited so heavily this year, but a tree will fruit or produce a lot of pine cones or whatever because it's stressed, and it's a reproductive mechanism, a survival mechanism. So yeah, like I said, it's tough. It's a nice tree, but what looks like, half of what looks like leaves on that picture are ginkgo fruits. And they smell really terrible once they're ripe and start to decay.
Yeah. Other questions? Britt?
Are there treatments that can be done to reduce the fruiting? I'm looking up, there's like you can treat it with chlorprophyllum. It's a herbicide that would cause the fruits to shrivel or not.
We don't we don't use chemicals on trees in the city.
And they're
you know.
the city's trees, so the city would maintain. Okay. Just trying to think of ways. I'm trying to understand if the primary reason why we're removing the tree is because of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can share, so about a year or so ago, we had an application that we actually denied purely for the fruiting. But we all had an education about what that meant. And I think that since then, the recommended trees list has been updated to specify male
Yes.
ginkgo trees, as before it wasn't. So we didn't feel that we had any grounds, but I kind of feel like for the fruiting, we can consider it now. But that's just. Any other questions from the commission?
Will if we go forward with removing the tree, will all the fruit that falls off during that process be cleaned up?
I hope so. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, whenever a tree is removed, the contractor generally cleans up everything there. So hopefully they get to it soon enough before it gets very ripe, and they'll have quite a job dealing with that. So.
All right. Seeing no more questions from the commission, you sure? Okay. We'll open it for public. Public, any questions on this application?
Hello again. My name name's Ken. I live across the street, 1043 Curtis. And so I think I'm voted against remove the tree. Couple points. First of all, as you mentioned, it's a city tree, right? And it shouldn't have been planted before, but however, it's here. And for a tree to bear fruit, it's not her fault, okay? Not just the way nature is. It happens to bear fruit once a season, that's okay. I mean, my house is across the street and live between two female ginkgo trees. So I'm very accustomed to use a broom or stick to knock down the berries and then to clean it up. Yes, it stunk a lot, right? It smells so bad, but I think at this point, this should not be a decision maker to remove the trees, right? Because that's just the way nature is. We don't go to remove a tree just because it smells. And I think also it's one option to combat the bearing part is, since it's a city tree, so I assume it will be city's responsibility and its duty to come out probably before the berry gets ripe and start falling to knock down the berry as much as possible. And second of all, it's par for the sidewalk, right? So because we plant the tree so close to the sidewalk, when the tree is young, there will be no damage to the sidewalk. But as the tree matures, we need to provide them the room to grow. So to say that, yes, it damaged the sidewalk, so therefore we have to cut them down, I don't think it's reasonable. Because yes, we plant a small tree right now, but 30 years down the line, it still ruin the sidewalk. We still have to take down, and then we just repeat the process over and over again. So I think to sum it up, yes, sidewalk can be repaired, but I think the tree should remain because it takes years effort to grow the tree out of that size. And again, it's majestic. Berry itself, it's considered a medicine. It's very healthy for a human. And it's in Chinese culture, it's a medicine. You can actually eat it. You clean out the flesh, you bake them, you dry them, you eat it. The nuts. It's very good. Yes.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other? So I don't have the clock here. I know we're going to have a lot of speakers coming, so I'd like to use the clock if we can. So we're allowing 3 minutes per speaker. That way everybody gets a chance to speak and they all have the same amount of time. And it'll start beeping and stuff like that. So
Hi, I'm Dave Allen. I live at 1041 Curtis next to Ken. And the other female ginkgo tree on the street is in front of my house. And I strongly support removing that tree too. This tree bears fruit for months. And I go out there every morning and try and sweep it up before the school kids walk by. It falls on the cars. It uses up several parking places. No one will park their car under these two spots if they have in their right mind. And there is a sort of a safety hazard because the children walking to them are in school. They're, elementary school kids have enough sense not to walk through the berries after a few weeks. So they get to where the berries fall into the tree, and then they cut across the street to the school side of the streets, not at the crosswalk, so it's not a great situation. So for all those reasons, it is a beautiful tree. Both of them, there's 3 ginkgos. There's a male and 2 females within 50 feet. For all those reasons, though, I think they're nice trees, but we should get rid of the 2 females. So I will apply to remove the female in front of my house as soon as possible. Thanks.
okay, thank you.
Good evening. Ken McCroskey. I actually live in the 800 block of Santa Fe, but I have to say I'm in favor of removing this tree. It looks like it may be the second time it's rucked up the sidewalk, and I believe that's one of the requirements for taking out a tree. Also, the idea of having readily available poison oak type bombs available on the way to school is a little scary to me. So much as I hate to break up this threesome of the 2 female and 1 male ginkgo trees, I think it's appropriate to take out the tree. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this item?
Hi, my name is Andy Clark. We live at 1030 Curtis. That's our minivan in the picture there. The tree is beautiful, it's majestic. When the leaves turn yellow, I love it, but it fruits so much and for so long, it's really, really a disturbance. Our neighbor across the street mentioned that kids on that side cross to our side of the street. Well, kids who are coming up Marin to go to Marin School will walk out into the street around cars to avoid the sidewalk that's covered with ginkgo nuts during the season that it's fruiting. Our neighbors who live at 1028 Curtis, they're not able to make it here tonight, but they work extremely hard for 3 to 4 months to try and keep that sidewalk and parking space clear. But it's a very intense and very strong nuisance for 3 to 4 months of the year, and we would strongly support removing it at this time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, any other comments on this? Yes.
My name is Kevin Bastian. I live across the street from this tree, and David mentioned the fact that there's a male that's down the street. There's two females and one male. And we've discussed the possibility, and I would just bring it up, cutting down the male, would that make sense? So we would have 2 females that don't fruit? It's more a question than a comment.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I would imagine the tree would get pollinated. There's ginkgos throughout the city. And the fact remains that this property owner applied to remove this tree, and because of the sidewalk issue, more so than the fruit, but the fruit is, in my mind and several other people, it is a big issue. And I have a feeling the tree would still produce, it would still be fertilized from, other bees.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Interesting thought, though. Thank you. Other comments from the public? Oh, there we go. All right, so bring it back. Discussion from the commission.
Can you elaborate on what you're, I mean, I remember the conversation we had about the other tree, and we deliberated for a while when we decided to not take it down just because of the fruit. I wasn't able to get out to see this location, so I don't know how bad that sidewalk is. But I'm, before I walked in here tonight, I was still thinking the way I was thinking the last time we deliberated about just the fruit being the reason to take the tree down. It's a beautiful tree. So could you explain that?
Well, yeah, so number one, it is a beautiful tree. I did make it out, and they've done a very good job of cleaning it up, maybe a little too good. If they'd let it get a little dirtier, it might have been a different story. But it is a beautiful tree, it really is. But our conversation was, we were trying to, the only basis upon which we could decide that the fruit was enough of a reason to remove a tree was if we, in our opinion, materially harmed the property, right? I mean, and there was some discussion about what that meant. And if reducing use constituted material, as opposed to breaking a wall or getting to pipes or something. And so I think ultimately we decided that wasn't adequate for the way things were then. Well, now we do have the guidelines that say male ginkgo trees rather than the fruiting nuisance of these ones. I hate saying male and female in this context, but this is the first test. This is the first time it's come up since we did that. I would say that the sidewalk does look lifted enough to cause a hazard, and it will need to be repaired, and that's one of the, and it clearly has been repaired fairly recently. It looks pretty recent.
So then what about if a tree is on, if a tree is on the not on the tree list, or is on the tree, is that how it is? Like if the tree is not on the tree list, then what does that mean when an application comes forward? Like that's not a reason to take a tree
No, it isn't
down.
in and of itself. Right. You're right. It isn't in and of itself. So that's where the commission comes in and we make the decision.
Because the tree list is only used for what new trees you decide to plant.
Right. Well, we can also use it as a benchmark of recommended trees that are likely not to cause problems. You're not going to see liquid amber on there, or the ones that are known for lifting the sidewalk a lot.
Yeah, the tree isn't on the list because of the problems, the issues that it would cause, and I think if we saw those issues, then that would be a reason, not just because it's not on the list. And, a baby redwood might not be, but a 4-foot wide redwood maybe wouldn't be a suitable tree in a sidewalk strip. So.
But you're right. I am being a little hasty in saying that if it's not on that list, it's reason to remove it. You're right. Any other comments on this item?
I'm curious as to how old this tree might be.
Oh, I don't know, it's hard to judge a tree, maybe 30 years, 20, 25, 30 years old, 25, 30 probably. Like I said earlier, I'm still on, yeah. I don't know how it lasted this long, you know. I mean, it has to have been fruiting over the years, and apparently one of the neighbors is a witness to that, so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My quick internet search finds that ginkgo trees don't fruit until they're 25 years old.
Oh, there we
So
go.
it might be a recent development.
So good guess.
35
Maybe,
years
so maybe it's
old, then
33
maybe,
years
yeah.
old.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody want to make a motion at this time?
I motion to approve the application to remove the tree at 1028 Curtis Street.
All right, we have a
And I'll
motion
second.
and a second. Further discussion? All right, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? One, thank you. All right, thank you. Oh, I should say for all of those here for tree removals, there is a, was it 15-day appeal? So there's 15 days in which somebody could come and appeal to, I guess, to council to reconsider the application approval. And then after that, they'll be put on the schedule for.
And we discussed the, allowing the previous female ginkgo tree person to apply,
Okay,
reapply.
okay. Oh,
As
right,
possible.
right.
Did that get I was here late.
No, it didn't, we didn't. It didn't get
Okay.
some.
Because of the fact that was recent, that was September, maybe September is the time, I guess, when we see lots of
Oh,
fruit.
there you
Because
go.
it was
There
September
you go.
2014 when the previous application came before us with the same condition. And so we could make the offer that if they would like to apply again, we won't charge them the application fee and we can revisit that tree.
We could, but for me, the argument is the sidewalk, so we'll,
Okay, good.
I don't know,
Just
we'll,
throwing out there as your option.
we can come. Want to say before you did, okay. Next item is 5.3. This is the tree removal application for 828 Santa Fe.
Well, I'm not sure what happened to the images.
We're having a projector issue that Brendan is working on.
Thank you, everybody who came to speak on that item.
But at 828 Santa Fe, there's a liquid amber tree. Basically, I went out there because a huge limb ripped out of the tree and was laying in the front yard. The tree has been continually topped by PG&E, and if you could see the picture there, you can see the high voltage wires above the tree. Liquid amber is a tree that tends to grow straight up, and PG&E keeps topping it, which is forcing sidewards growth, which puts a lot of weight on the limbs, and these liquid amber trees are notorious for having those heavy limbs break out. There it is. Yeah, let's see. So there's the tear where the one limb came out that I went out and had to clean up.
This is not done.
This limb, and while I was there, I saw there's several other sections where limbs have come out. And the top one there, you could see it's kind of healing over on the right side on the picture, but on the left side it's not healed, and there's some fungus, some decay there. And where the top arrow is, there's kind of a tight union of two different limbs, and that's another potential spot for another big limb to break out. And then there's another cut, probably another limb that broke and was cleaned up a little bit. But again, that one hasn't healed over either. And it doesn't show too much sign of healing over. So again, the cuts on the trees. There's the high voltage lines above the tree. Basically these, went the wrong way. If I can go back here, this should be a kind of a pyramidal shaped tree, almost like the ginkgo was in the last case. But it's been topped, and it just keeps pushing the weight out, pushing the growth and the weight out to the sides, which causes a lot of limbs to come down. So, and the sidewalk was repaired recently. This was part of the city sidewalk repair project, but the sidewalk was pretty heavily lifted, and therefore there were some large roots that were pruned away from this tree too. So I recommend that this tree be removed. It's a liquid amber. It's a good sized planting strip. but still, the tree caused some issues there, some problems. And we can replant, we have a wide variety of trees that we can replant in that spot, so.
All right, any questions from the commission? Not at this time. All right, I'll open it for public comment on this item. Not, no. Ken, are you commenting or? Okay. Yes, I noticed that.
Smart.
There's a whole front row right here. You can just.
I'll think about it. I'm more comfortable in the back, sorry. Right, so I live across the street in Diagonal, and this issue, there are several liquid amber trees on both sides of the street, and this issue is coming up on several of the trees on the side with the power lines. They tend to have larger limbs falling. On our side, without the power lines, we have smaller limbs falling, but we're all having that. So from my standpoint, I would like to see this tree get replaced with something a little more effective for this location. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other comment on this item? All right, bringing it back for the commission discussion. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
I'll
second that motion.
Oh, who wants a second?
I'll second that motion.
David, all right. We have a motion second. All in favor? Aye, opposed? I just have one question. So Big Chief comments, who's the Big Chief? I was noticing on the. On the work order.
I think that this tree was applied for previously a while ago. The Big Chief is one of the contractors that
Oh,
we
okay.
have that
All
does the
right.
work.
All right. Very good. I was hoping for something more colorful. All right.
It's John's new nickname, Big Chief.
Yeah, I like it. It is now. All right. The next item, and I have lost my, there. Application for 623 Cornell Avenue tree removal.
Okay, this is a camphor tree that's basically in pretty bad decline. I'm not really sure if it's been pruned for high voltage wires, but I'm guessing that it has since it's right directly under high voltage wires. It's overgrown the curb and the sidewalk. It's cracking and lifting the sidewalk. It's been repaired before. You can see from another angle the lift on the sidewalk, and that's it. So I'm recommending removal of this tree. It's in really bad shape. There's a lot of camphors that are looking pretty poor throughout the city, and there's a few that I'm feeling that really it's best to remove them. And with the sidewalk damage, I recommend that it be removed. And I think on the issue on this tree, though, it might not be able to, I think it cannot be replaced due to utilities, underground utilities. So.
What happens in that case? A tree is planted somewhere else? Do we try to keep a net?
If there's a place on the property, well, in the public right-of-way, adjacent to the property, then we could plant, but there's not in this case. There's only that little patch.
Right.
And the rest of it's driveway, and there's not really any space. So as it stands now, there's no requirement to plant a tree otherwise in another place in the city. It would be good if we can do that, but eventually we'll get there.
All right.
And how does the owner feel about that? Of not replacing the tree? How does the owner feel about not replacing the tree?
Well, I don't know, actually. I mean, if they want to replant on their property, if they want a tree, they can maybe try to get one in the front yard area. I'm not sure. There's hedges and all there, so it's not really their choice. If there's utilities, underground utilities, we can't dig it. It'll be hard enough to get the tree out and get the stump ground. And we don't want to plant another tree where there's utilities on the ground that could be affected. So I recommend minimum 3 feet, which isn't much, from center to center for any utility. Gas, water, sewers should probably have more than 3 feet distance, but there's not I forget what it is. I think water line is right up against the base of this tree. So
So it sounds like either PG&E messed up or didn't give it thoughts about planting that tree earlier?
Well, years ago, when this tree was planted and it was, you know, 3/4 of an inch diameter, no one gave much thought to that is more than likely what happened, you know. You see that in a lot of places. But we're trying to avoid that now by not planting trees where we know will cause problems like this.
Side note, I noticed that there's no other trees along that side of the street for that block in the planting strip. But one question I have is that they checked that the tree is dead on the form. I don't think it's
Quite qualifies.
quite dead. I mean, I know they also have checked the box about the sidewalk having a tripping hazard, but I was wondering if this tree is dead.
It's not dead, but in some people's minds, when a tree looks like that, it's dead. But yeah, it still has some life. There's green leaves on it. It's still alive. I mean, but it's on its way out. So, yeah.
Any other questions from the commission? All right, open it for public comment on this item. Tree removal application for 623 Cornell. Ken? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. I really like camphor trees. I'm sorry to see them go, but I also noticed that there aren't very many large trees on that block. It's like that's the only one on like that 2/3 of the block, yeah.
But is the water line along that whole length of the street on that side?
Well, the water, excuse me, the water main would be under the street, but the
connection to the house?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, both gas and water on this one. And we wouldn't have necessarily big trees on this side of the street because of high voltage power lines.
Right.
Again, in the past, that tree was planted. These days, I wouldn't want a tree like that planted under high voltage. There are some fairly good-sized trees that could be planted there. If the neighbors want to plant, they're welcome to apply, and we'll get some trees in.
I do notice the tree is providing a lot of shade for that house. It's going to be dramatically different. That's gone, but that's their decision. We'd accept a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second.
All right, a motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right. So I'm wondering, that is moving on to the new items. Who is here to speak about the Albany Greenway item? Oh, did I miss something? Oh, did you have a director's report?
Well, we can do that at the end.
Yeah, okay, we'll do it at the end. Yeah, good point, good point. People here to speak on the Greenway item? All right, so seeing that, I think we'll just move right on to what I'm going to guess. Is everybody here to speak? You're all here to speak on the Memorial Park bathroom project, right? Yeah. I figure you're probably here to speak on the community garden and dog park item, is that correct? All right, so we'll bump that up so we can try to get folks home sooner. Folks have a presentation for us? Shelley, as pleasant as this is.
Thank you. Sorry for the little setup delay. I want to first start off, I want to make sure that I say before we get started in this discussion is that the Ocean View Organic Community Gardeners did not initiate this discussion. So I want to make sure everybody knows that they are innocent in this proposal. It is completely initiated by staff, by me. And it was an idea that the city manager and I have been discussing for a while. And tonight is a chance to have an open discussion about the possibility. Is this something people are interested in? Are there drawbacks? Are there things that just don't work, or are there things that do work for all the different parties? And so tonight is a chance, so I'm glad that I see a lot of people in the audience that may want to speak from different groups, probably representing different parties in this. This is the possibility of relocation of the Ocean View Organic Community Garden and the creation of an Albany dog park, which would be a switch. There's some background in how basically Section B was created. The staff report is in the back if you had a chance to read it, but basically in May of 2011, Parks and Rec Commission recommended to council that there be an installation of a fence separating Section A, which is the ball field side where baseball and soccer play, from Section B, which currently is where dogs get to run wild between 11 and 8. Council approved the installation of the fence at its June 6th, 2011 meeting, and that is not the right picture, but let's go to this one. You can see over in the red, if I had a pointer, it's on the right-hand side is Section B in the red square, and then obviously you see the baseball field. The purpose of the new fence was allow for more activities to safely take place in Section A and Section B concurrently. The ball field at Memorial Park is used primarily for organized sports such as soccer and baseball. At the time the fence was installed, the majority of users, other than those participating in organized sports, were dog users exercising their dogs. Prior to the installation of the fence, dogs were mingling with soccer and baseball players during practices and games. Sounds sweet, but there were some issues with that. Yes, Section B was established as an area allowing for dogs. So Section A was established as a ball field where dogs were no longer allowed. And it's important to note that over the years, users of Section B have requested the installation of basic dog park amenities such as permanent benches, dog watering fountains, etc. And however, from the onset of installing the fence, the intent has been to have Section B remain a small field in the event that the city wanted to use it for other programming. There is also, I don't think it's noted in here, but there is an ordinance in place that prohibits dogs on Section A. And so that would be a violation of the law, yes. The community garden is located behind the tennis courts at Ocean View. So if you haven't been there, it's a lovely spot. You can see the tennis courts there, it's directly behind it. The community garden was completed in 2007. And since that time, the steering committee for the garden has done an excellent job managing the garden and relying on very little city staff. The garden currently has 21 plots, with one of those, and there might be one more, but designated as a community herb plot. Originally, the 2 plots designated for use by the city and the school district, but the interest in utilizing these plots is faded due to limited staff available to offer gardening programs. If we keep going on into the discussion, I'm reading through this because there's a lot of different parts to this. Currently at Section B, since the installation of the fence, Section B has been as a dog area only. A number of residents living near Section B frequently deal with noisy park users staying beyond 8 p.m. curfew, as well as dogs that are allowed to bark continuously. Signage listing park rules are clearly displayed at Section B. Albany Police Department has been called numerous times over the past few years while staff continues to look for ways to inspire users to adhere to the rules. Staff has installed an auto-locking gate, posted signs, banners, and has included information regarding rules of Section B in the city's newsletter. However, the same problems continue to occur. Additionally, Section B users have requested additional dog park amenities to be included in the area and increased hours of use. So currently over at the garden, the community garden has had some difficulty in the past maintaining membership of gardeners, primarily due to the lack of sunlight available on the south side of the garden. The approximately 10 plots along the south side of the garden are shaded by a row of very healthy trees that line the creek. And over the years, the amount of shade has increased as the trees have gotten taller. This makes growing plants in those plots a challenge for gardeners and creates undesirable plots. Currently, almost all the garden plots are in use, and the steering committee has done a very good job of utilizing the shaded plots as master gardener areas for educational workshops. So finally, a few more bits for you. Section B is located in close proximity to neighboring homes. There is a map, and this basic map for you shows you the Google version of it. On Thousand Oaks, homes directly across from Section B are approximately 84 feet from the perimeter of the fence. Other than the cyclone fence, there is no barrier between Section B and the homes. Section B is approximately 16,000 square feet. So this is a couple of views. There's on the right is the fencing, and if your back is against that fence on the outside of Section B, that is how far away the neighboring homes are. At Ocean View Park, the UC Village apartments are located on the south side of the fence, and the apartments are approximately 81 feet from the fence. The difference being that there is quite a bit of vegetation and trees separating the fence from the apartments, as well as a creek. There is a map with a few photos. This is showing you some of the shade on those poor plots. And this is a view from the USDA looking towards the garden, which is in the far away of that picture. The current community garden area is approximately 5,200 square feet. The proposed area for the dog park would include the current community garden space plus the grass area behind the picnic tables, which at one time was supposed to be a grass volleyball court, and would be approximately 9,500 square feet. The trees and vegetation at Ocean View create a nice barrier between the fenced area and the apartments on the south side. Unfortunately, the trees also create a fair amount of shade on the south side of the community garden, as mentioned earlier. Section B has a little shade. The majority of the area enjoys full sunlight. Trust me, I'm almost done. Both Ocean View and Memorial Parks are within walking distance of nearby neighborhoods, and both parks have limited parking due to park and school activities. It notes that the staff is in favor of moving the community garden in Section B and creating a real dog park where the community garden is now located in Ocean View. An Ocean View dog park could offer amenities found in dog parks, as well as offer extended hours. While the community garden at Memorial would provide sunny plots, more visibility in a larger area with potential collaboration with the Edible Landscape Project. That is my long reading for you. And so, once again, I will say that the community gardeners did not initiate this. I told them I would try to say it 5 times so that everybody got to hear it. Yes, so an open discussion. This, if depending on how tonight goes, there will be other discussions. So tonight is not the final time for people listening at home. You've also received a couple comments that I forwarded to the commissioners, 2 that were received late, and the copies are back there. And I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Any clarifying questions from the commission?
So I have 2 questions. So one is, I'm wondering what type of outreach staff did to Ocean View School or to Ocean View PTA. I'm also wondering what type of outreach was done to the University Village residents, although they, they may change every year or so. So not as concerned about that, but definitely the school and the PTA.
We didn't reach out. We started, the only discussion that I had that was public was with the Ocean View Community Gardeners. And I met with them initially to, I said it out loud and 2 of them almost passed out.
Was that when they suggested the idea?
Yeah, right. That was when they did not suggest the idea.
Very good.
So I've met with them 2 to 3 times. They have also visited Memorial Park, and they met with their own group of gardeners, the steering committee did, and they took some semi-formal vote to say that they were in favor of the move. So that's the main outside group that we've reached out to. We've been in communication with neighbors of the Memorial Section B that we have frequent contact with, but we haven't gone beyond that. So we wanted to open up discussion and invite as many people to speak tonight on that. And the community garden may be able to speak to the Ocean View, the school district, or people not using their plots, or what their involvement has been with the garden. But that would be those would be obvious groups that we would want to speak to, yes.
The other thing that would be great to see is the distance measured from Section B to the high school, and then the edge of the community garden to the Ocean View rooms.
Okay.
And I can just tell from the pictures that the distance will be closer, so maybe an informal assessment of the volume of barking if you were in the classroom closest to the...
To the school or to the recreation site?
To the classroom.
Okay.
To whatever class is closest to it. Is that the recreation site that's next to it?
Yes.
Oh, is that the Friendship Club?
Yes.
Okay.
But the school, so the school has those outbuilt, let's see. Oh.
So, yeah, maybe bring up that map again and the lay of the land. So
So for Ocean View, next to the red tennis courts,
Right.
you have 3 outbuildings. So the first outbuilding, the one that's right next to the clay, is the Cedars, the kindergarten aftercare. So that's a half-day aftercare program, that operates both in the morning and in the afternoon. But the 3 other buildings that are the 3 buildings that are just adjacent right there. Thanks,
Thank you.
Alexa.
Thank you, Alexa.
Those are classrooms. Oh, no, they're not classrooms. Those are also aftercare programs. Behind that is where the school is. Yep, that's a school.
Other questions from the commission? So my understanding is no outreach was done to dog Section B users.
We sent them the notification that this would be coming
you
on the
didn't meet
agenda.
with them?
We didn't meet with a
them.
formal group.
This is what that's what this is.
The beginning of that, and I have notified Brad Griffith, who is the staff liaison to the dog ad hoc group, to let them get passed along the agenda information to let them know that we would have. Hi, Brad. Don't say anything. No, because we can't hear you. You can come up, yeah. So that they could get together and host a dog discussion.
Okay.
This is Brad Griffith.
Hello, I am Brad Griffith. For those that don't know me, for those that do, hello. I was instructed to come just so I could be in the know of what's going on with this issue. I sent out an email to the individuals that I have on my ad hoc dog committee just yesterday, letting them know that they were welcome to come to this meeting today if they wanted to. Otherwise, within the coming weeks, we would convene once I have talked with staff to discuss what would be going on with this issue in the upcoming days or weeks or time frame.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Brad.
And before you sit down, you're also affiliated with the Friendship Club, which would be in close proximity to this?
I'm the supervisor of the program. Yes, ma'am.
I just don't know if that would be something else to consider, or, never mind.
As far as how it would impact
how it
them.
would impact the Friendship Club and.
The area, I want to make something clear, I guess, and I'm a little height challenged here. My building is there.
Way over there.
I think the area that we're discussing is roughly here, right?
Yes.
Most of this area is very infrequently used by my program from time to time. We do use that area, but I don't know exactly how it's going to fully impact us. To be honest, that area is used a lot by field users and the like in terms of the baseball field area, which we don't use much at all. If we had to put a percentage on it, I would say roughly at a 10, maybe 15% usage area for both areas, the baseball field and the back area that we're talking about in discussion for the proposal for the dog park or dog run area.
And you're not concerned with dogs walking back and forth
Not
in front of
too concerned. I would say at this point in time, I would want to stay with the issue of what other individuals are involved in or are thinking about the back area, the field area we're talking about in discussion. At this point in time, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I want to see how it unfolds first before I would give a full-on opinion.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions on the proposal?
Well, another thing, and that brings up another issue of how people would access that, because a lot of people who live in the village and have kids that go to Ocean View, there's a gate that, I guess it's hard, Alexa, do you know where the gate is?
Can you press?
It's like, it's over to the left. It's to the left, like, keep going. It's all the way, like, if you go to that.
It's actually past the red square. Past the red, you can see a little trail past the red square towards the USDA building. Yeah,
So
there's a
that-
little path.
So that gate there's a gate there, and there's a key, you have to use a keypad to get through it, and that's where most of the University Village folks will walk through to pick up their kids. They'll walk through and go on the other side of the top side of the, yes, that's how they'll walk there. Otherwise, the only way to access that area is from Buchanan, and you do have to walk down that sidewalk that's between the field and the Children's Center. And so there's a small parking lot there, but my kids used to go to that care center, and there's limited parking. Like when you drop off and pick up, it's sort of hard to find parking. So I would want to see a plan for how we would accommodate the folks that would be coming to the dog park.
Was that a question? No, kind of. We have in our plan, we have in our plans to do that path that would connect, because there is no path that connects to the UC Village fence, and so we would keep that.
Yeah.
And so walking, biking through there.
Well, there is a path, I think we've been talking about continuing, it stops at the picnic area.
Exactly.
Continuing through the picnic area. Yeah.
Right along the edge of it, yes.
Right.
And then it's, you have to be within the University Village to have the code, although I think everybody in the city knows the code. But it's not really meant as a thoroughfare.
Right. All right, any other clarifying questions?
I think parking will be an issue because we've got the sports people parking there too.
Is this a question? Sorry, Emma, okay. Just, I know there are a lot of people, we want to get to public comment quickly, so any other questions? All right, thank you. We will now open for public comment on this item. Again, we'll use the 3-minute clock just so everybody gets a chance to speak. Anybody like to speak on this item?
Good evening. I'm Jack Miller. I'm the president of Albany Little League. I want to say, first of all, we don't have a dog in this fight. We don't have a garden in this fight either, for a change. Thank you, Shelley.
Think about that all day, haven't you?
No, I actually just made it up while I was sitting here listening to the tree stuff. I think you all have the letter that I wrote describing our concerns. Those of you who are familiar with the state of Memorial Park before Section B was put in place, the problem was not just dogs running over, under, around, and through the sports field users. In fact, the larger problem, and Shelley knows this is one of our major issues, is the damage that the dogs did to the field. And it's really been wonderful not having the fields as torn up as they used to be, or the outfield as torn up as it used to be. However, there are still, because the city does want to keep that field open for general recreation users through the gates on Thousand Oaks, and saying this for the benefit of people who might not have seen the letter that I wrote. There is still access, and there is a small number of dog users who don't abide by the rules, and even though there is an ordinance, and in principle it can be enforced, it's not at all uncommon for those of us who use the field to come out and find dog prints in the infield, dog poop in the outfield. It really only takes 1 or 2 large black labs to do some damage. So the concern is that if the dog park is moved, the people in the neighborhood who are already, who are used to using that area, they'll have access to the open fences any time of the day or night. And we just want to ensure that if this proposal goes through, or we want to advise if this proposal goes through, that if you want to keep the field in good shape, that there really has to be a mechanism for enforcing the no dogs policy in Section A, whether it's locking the gates or more active law enforcement. I'm not sure what form that would take, but that is, just wanted to express that concern and point it out to the commission.
Great,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else like to speak on this item?
My name's Donna Butcher. I'm a longtime Albany resident. I am a dog owner. I have been down to visit the area down there. I do think it's very small compared to the other. My other big concern is, and maybe I'm saying this because I'm old and feel less secure than I used to, but I don't feel secure back there. And when I go up to Memorial Park in the middle of the day, when there are only 1 or 2 dogs, I feel totally secure. Or when there's no one there. I mean, I've gone there a lot between, like 12 and 2, and there's been nobody there with another dog. But it's a free place to run further than he can run at home, and I feel safe. When I walk back behind there, if I were alone, I would not feel safe. So I think that's a big concern. I've always been asking for a space at Pierce Street Park to be a dog park. I think there's so much space there. You could easily have a bigger, good space there. I was told before when I talked to someone about it that people didn't want it because people were afraid of dogs, and so they didn't want a dog park as part of the park. I think it's better than having the dogs run loose. Albany doesn't have a leash law, so you can't prevent dogs from running loose. So I think that's a whole combination of things that just really need to be looked at.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this item?
Hi, my name is Barbara Butkus. This is my first meeting on this subject. I'm one of the few residents, my family and I, on the Thousand Oaks block. I have a home office. I'm a photographer, so I work from home every day. And when we first moved in, bought our house there was no Section B. It was a little more freeform. And things changed a lot when Section B came in. At first, I don't know, I have young kids. I wasn't super tuned into it, but as the time has passed, I just have been more impacted, especially by the noise and of dogs and owners, the volume of dogs and owners there. We had a party the other night and someone came in and said, I think there's like 40 dogs and 40 people in the park right now. And I didn't even prompt them to say that. It was just, they were so shocked at how many people were over there and dogs. So a new development is I have a 16-week-old puppy. And so potentially we'd be using it, but I feel like the vibe over there is so chaotic that we probably won't. We all hear, but owners fighting over the dogs fighting, and it can just be a little intense, the constant barking, as was mentioned. On the positive side, the timed fence is awesome. Love it. There still are people abusing the after hours. I drove up, I don't know, like after 9, let's say, and there was like some dude in there with his dog with a bright collar, and I'm like, hi. And he goes, oh gosh, I guess I've been here a long time, so he must, that's an hour after 8 o'clock. So we also all breathe a sigh of relief when they reseed. It's so nice to have a reduction in parking and all that, in other people parking there. It's already a really busy area, so I kind of feel like, the dog park adds just that much more. We've got Memorial Park, we've got Veterans Hall, we've got the baseball field, we've got the high school, and I feel like a community garden would be a super swap because it would reduce the amount of people, certainly the amount of noise, and yeah, just the crowding and just kind of feeling of tension. There's just like, I'm at my, doing Photoshop and I'm just hearing arguments and barking all day, and it can really make me feel tense. Yeah, I fully support the garden. I think we just put in a whole new garden in our backyard. I should have brought you all tomatoes because we're like thriving with, we've got fruit trees, and it's just working fantastically, and it's just been in the last 6 months. So if that Section B could look like our backyard, I would be really excited. And it just feels like, to me, it would be quieter and less contentious.
Okay. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Everybody, you feel free, just, I don't need to recognize you. Yeah.
If you notice, it's real easy for me to get up, but everybody else can too. Right, so I came here partially tonight because I wanted to make sure that you were recognizing the path that goes between the UC property and Ocean View Park. And it sounds like you might be interested in paving that. That would be great. It'd be great if it was an all-weather path. And sitting here, I was also thinking about the security of the area and the fact that the current dog park sounds like the rules are being violated. And this new park would be pretty much out of the public eye. There wouldn't be that peer pressure from surrounding residences in the same way. And I got to think that enforcement would be difficult for the police. So something to think about. And then there's parking. And obviously there could be issues there, but I did want to, I have good news on that point, at least. There is a current, I forget the technical name for it, but there's a current project to create a safe crossing to Ocean View Park, right across from the parking lot for the park.
A hawk signal?
I'm sorry? I think it's a hawk signal. I don't remember the exact details, yeah. And do you remember which project that was? It's like the Complete Streets. That's the term that it's coming under. So that there's a Complete Streets project coming in the near term. So that could potentially add the parking on the other side of Buchanan. So you could take that into consideration as well.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Hi, my name is Tony Wright. I represent Albany Berkeley Soccer Club, and we use the park in the summer for about, I think, 5 weeks, and we have approximately 300 kids over that time period. And between now and November 13th, we use the park on the weekends, on Saturday, and we have approximately another probably 200 kids, 250 kids there every Saturday between 9 and 3. My experience is that I agree with the parking situation, and I sat there and did the math and realized that at any given time during the summer, which is supposed to be the low tide, there's only 4 parking spaces really that's accessible. The other issue is the dog. I've gone to the park a number of times in the morning just to clean up that park, the mess that people leave overnight. So that's the main thing that I'd be concerned about, is how do we secure that space? And I know there's a lot of money being spent on that park just to keep it usable by the athletic group there. I'm not against the dog park. I'm just concerned about how we're going to manage it and make sure that everyone abide by the rules, because on our side we have some strict rules that we have to abide by so we can have access to the park. On the flip side is the community members saying, well, I have a dog and the dog gets loose. It's really important for us about controlling of the dog. Last year we had a dog bite, not in Albany, but another place. It turned out to be that the owner didn't even have insurance, so the burden falls back on our organization. So it's something that we might want to consider, of how we manage the rules there. Thank you very much for your
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Brian Young. I'm at 601 Carmel Avenue. I'd like to think that makes me a little bit unique because I'm both a neighbor and a dog enthusiast. I'm at the dog park. Oh, dog park. It's section B,
yeah.
Because it's not a dog park. And I'm there 3 or 4 times a week, and I enjoy it very much. So I want to congratulate staff. Shell, we've never met, but I think you have an excellent idea to swap. It's truly a win-win. The community garden is not in a good space in Ocean View, and quite frankly, even though I enjoy it, the dog park at Section B doesn't work. It's too noisy. Commissioner Pearson asked about parking at Ocean View, the small parking lot. There's no parking lot at Section B. So that is an issue. So it's good that we're having this dialogue. There's a lot of things to consider. I've learned a lot tonight. Is the proposed area fenced?
I assume it would be.
Yes.
It would have to be.
Yes, the current community garden has a fence around it, and then it would have an extension fence into that volleyball.
I just realized I'm not supposed to ask questions, right?
No, that's fine.
Sorry. So that's one thing to think about. So anyway, I came here to support the idea of the swap. I think it's a win-win, and I look forward to other discussions on this topic.
Thank you. And to clarify, this is a discussion, so you're welcome to ask questions. We want everybody to understand what's going on. Except Alexa. No, please, Alexa.
So Shelley, I just wonder, was it the people who work in the community garden who wanted this swap?
No, they did not initiate it.
I've got your back. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a person who spends quite a bit of time in Memorial Park in the edible landscape, which is right next to Section B, I have found I am not a dog enthusiast. dogs are fine, but they're not really my thing. But I have found the dog park to be basically good neighbors. There are times when dogs come up to the fence and bark at people working in the garden, but it's pretty rare. And owners get on those dogs quickly. So we have not had problems with them. On the other side, we'd love to have more gardens in that area. As a gardener, the Section B site is much more appropriate to gardening than is the site that is currently used by Ocean View, mainly because of the shade. So I agree that this could definitely be a win-win with some good strategizing around issues that are of concern to people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jill Lodwig. I live on 1341 Thousand Oaks, so 3 houses down from the corner of Carmel and Thousand Oaks, directly across from the dog park. My family's lived at that location for 19 years, so we've seen lots of changes in Memorial Park during that time. Baseball field, swim meets, triathlons, bike races, playground, concerts, you name it. And none of those things have been an issue for us at all, and the dog park's been a nightmare. So we wholeheartedly support the move to Ocean Park, and I was just saying earlier before someone else said it, it seems to me to be a win-win in the sense of I think that a community garden, a large community garden in Section B would be lovely, and I think it's really exciting. And I think that there's never been really a proper review to have the dog park located where it is in Section B. It's a de facto dog park that just ended up being there because neighbors, including myself, brought our dog over there in the early years. And interestingly enough, before the fence went up, there were years where the dogs and the baseball games, I wouldn't say they coexisted, but it actually somewhat worked a little bit until there was sort of a new crop of dog owners that came in, and the dogs then started really running in through the games, and there were fights between baseball people and the dog owners, and the dog owners were in fact rather belligerent and self-righteous about their dogs having a right to be on the baseball field. So Commissioner Pearson had said something about the graduate students that live in the housing, near the proposed move for the dog park. They're somewhat transitory in that they move, might move every year. Well, that's the case, you have to remember too, with the dog owner population, is it does cycle through. Every 4, 5, 6 years, you get a whole new crop of dog owners with young dogs. And then the dogs age out and aren't as interested in other dogs or don't come as often. And so you have this constant re-education involved in having a dog park in a residential area that has never had an environmental study or been deemed an appropriate place for a dog park. So the city has its work cut out for it in enforcing the ordinances that it has imposed in that Section B. The police essentially are unable to enforce those ordinances, and I have spreadsheets that can prove it. We keep track. They've not had a good record of responding to the problems. My husband and I have moved out of our master bedroom into our son's room in the back of the house, and he moved to the lower room. He's now away at college, but some years back, this is all in an effort to deal with the noise. My husband occasionally has art openings in the garage, which is now his studio. And we've had art openings where we can't carry on a conversation because of the barking. And this is with an ordinance, that there shall not be continuous barking. Since those signs went up, there have been years where, not years, but a year or two where it's been quiet, and then a new group comes in and it gets really, really loud again. We've had issues with dog poop in bags smashed on the streets because the trash bins are overflowing. I also just want to mention that I had 2 emails from neighbors who were unable to come this evening, and they expressed, a dissatisfaction with the new signage, how much of it there is, how unattractive it is, and the fact that it's not, the more signs there are, the less the rules are observed. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm from the community garden. And it was a shock to us when Shelley came to us. We had no idea. And she wanted to talk to the steering committee. And there's like 4 of us. And I've been in the garden, gosh, I think over maybe 7 years or longer. And very active. And, when Shelley proposed it, I mean, we were just kind of in shock. Because it's been our home away from home, our sanctuary. Everybody there loves gardening, it's in an out-of-the-way area, and the frustration with the shade, is just, I feel really sorry for new gardeners coming in because they have to be on the shaded side. The ones that are, that's just the way it works. The ones that have been around the longest, they get a choice of the sunnier plots. But plants do need sun. And so we, just started thinking about it, going over, to where Section B is now. And of course, it's in all that sun. And then right next to the edible, and our community garden has 2 master gardeners in it now. And this past year, we've had talks. They've led talks. So I think it would add a lot to the community and, raise awareness on gardening, soil, all of that. And I should say I love dogs. I really do. And so, I guess that's all I have to say.
Can I ask you a quick question? Is there any sort of waiting list or something for the current garden?
Yeah.
There is, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. Any other, anyone else like to speak?
My name is Maya Disco, and I'm a frequent user of the dog park with my dog, Stuart. I would like to say a couple of things to start out. One is I think anybody who solicits public input knows you tend to get a lot of negative comments. And I doubt many people who appreciate the dog park, and we do appreciate the dog park, call up the city council or the Parks Commission and say, gee, we just love that park that you've given us, it's really great. But we really, really do appreciate it, and we really do love it, and it's a great place for our dogs. I also want to say that I know that this summer it's been a little more difficult because of the remodeling at Albany Park in Berkeley. We've had a lot more people coming over from Albany Park because they no longer have a dog park. So there is a lot more dogs at Section B. And my understanding is that that park is due to be completed in early October. So I would expect that the impact would go down once they're able to go back to the dog park that's more convenient for them and all that. I don't really recognize some of the comments that I hear from neighbors about the people using the dog park and the dogs. There's always dogs that do bark, but I think that we're all pretty conscientious about that, and we are all mindful that this is in the community and that this is a great service that we have this park available to us. And I talk to a lot of people at the dog park. It's a very social place. It's not just the dogs socializing, it's people socializing. And we all talk about how this is a great place, and I see people who are very involved with their dogs and are really trying to control their dogs and make their dogs be good canine citizens. So I just wanted to push back on that a little bit because I think that we are conscientious people, and we're trying to treat that space with respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask her a question?
Oh, we do have a.
Can I ask you
one
a
more
question?
question?
I was just wondering, recognizing that we're not planning to, with the suggestion that is being considered, not that anything is planned, is just to relocate the park. So how would that affect you as a user of the park?
Well, I think that could be a good thing. I only know about this meeting because I happened to run into somebody who happened to have received an email yesterday about this. Nobody else that I talked to knows about it. And I go up to people and I just start talking to them. So I talk to a lot of people and I know a lot of people at the park. I would really like to see more input from the people who are using that as a dog park. The space, Section B, is already on the small side for a dog park. So going smaller to, this sounds like about 2/3 of the size, or maybe less, that seems a concern, because we're 16,000 down to 9,500?
No, it's 16 down to 14.7, so it's not that much smaller.
95 plus 5,200. So the 5,200 is the
okay.
park. It would be combined with
It actually will be 95 because the current community garden is 52.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that is approximate, but yes, you're correct.
It would be 95.
Yes, you're correct, yes.
So that is significantly smaller, and I think that would be a concern. I think mostly, I'd be concerned about outreach. I would be concerned that that people using the park are actually contacted and that our input is solicited. I had not heard of an ad hoc dog park committee. I would like to hear more about that.
We're going to have to ask you to wrap up.
I know a lot of us would be very interested in participating.
Yeah, great.
I'm sorry, how would I?
I'm just asking you to wrap up just because the clock, trying to be fair. So everybody gets, yeah, appreciate it.
Well, I came back because
You absolutely you did, and so it's on her. She can handle it. She can handle it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, my name is Leslie Zephyr. I live in Richmond. I have gone to this park ever since Part B came about. I am one of the people who went to the ad hoc committees. I have come before Park and Rec. I have gone to City Council. And I am overjoyed that this park exists. I know so many people at this park. My dog knows so many dogs at this park. And in all fairness, I totally understand what this woman said. The people who have been there since Plan B's inception tried their damnedest to comply with that list of 14 rules and regulations. I can almost quote them to you. When unneutered dogs come in, when people don't pick up their poop, when dogs start barking, we are on it like a parent on their kid. And when you do have new people come in, or people from Albany who don't have any rules that they have to comply with, they tend to do what they want. And that is human nature. So you can go over and you can say in your most diplomatic manner, excuse me, your dog pooped over there. Could you check your dog's barking? Your dog is unneutered and that tends to make other dogs more assertive or aggressive. Can you see rule number 8? And there's no way we can enforce that. And of course, we're not going to call Albany police because I'm sure they're busy with other things. But all of us who have been there through these past 4 or 5 years are very aware of what it must be like for some of these neighbors, especially the later in the evening it gets. I'm a midday person, and things are calmer midday, but I've been there at night. So I want to say that we do appreciate the park. We are aware of the situation, but don't always know what to do about it, to be quite candid. And the majority of people and their dogs comply with those rules. And it is a few bad apples. And we don't know what to do, to be quite candid. Well, let me speak for me. I cannot speak for the park. But to have us move because of those few bad apples is unjust to the hundreds, and it is hundreds of people who come there with their animals. And as far as the new park, I'm very concerned about it being so much smaller. So I guess I look forward to the upcoming meetings that we'll be having regarding this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further comment? I think, looking around, I think everybody's had their chance. All right. Bring it back to the commission for discussion. So there's nothing to vote on tonight. We're just talking it over. I will declare myself as somebody who does use that park, the Section B, and bring my dog there.
I'd be interested to hear from the dog owners that are going to Section B what they would do if this proposal went through, where they would go, what their behavior would be in the future.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that more outreach wasn't done to the dog.
Well, we did do an email blast to all of our.
I know that there's not a body like there is for the garden, but an email blast to a list that's 5 years old or 2 years old, however old, when it was last updated.
The dog contacts we
Not
had.
sure that's adequate. I understand, but they're also, we know where they are.
Yeah, so this is just the beginning, as we said. This is not the end of it, and it's, we're going to launch from here as far as getting people's input and continuing the dialogue to talk about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
understood, yeah.
I mean, just as the comment, one park closes, you go to the next one. And I know we had talked about, and so there is Point Isabel that is close. There's the Bruce, is that the Bruce King? Is that on the Albany Greenway? Is that the one that's closed currently? Or
The Albany.
in El Cerrito, which is 2 miles from
yeah.
our Section B. Point Isabel is about 2.5 miles from Section B. And I think Cesar Chavez Park has a dog area too, which is about 4 miles. But I mean, those are our surrounding kind of.
This one grew organically because it's a good location, because people walk their dogs and it was an open space and they're there. That's my sense.
Kind of organically.
Yeah.
Except for the fence.
No. Well,
I have to check with the treasurer in finance, yeah.
So I want to try to keep this from getting out of hand, and so we will. Understood. And
no, I didn't say we didn't have access. No, yeah, and Brad will be working together to notice that. And so if you do use Section B and that we decide to have a meeting for talk about dog issues, there usually will be a representative from the Parks and Rec Commission there with the dog ad hoc committee, and we'll run the same kind of meeting with discussions and input. And Brad has done this on other occasions as far as like talking about dog rules. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Is when the topics came up about the fence, dog ad hoc got put into play. The rules, as you remember that big discussion that took a long time to went to council, and so he can tell you about the group.
No, simply just to be fair to staff and anybody here who's at this meeting, the committee has grown since the beginning. When it first started and I was first given the task of being the facilitator of the committee, it only had 3 individuals that knew about the issues that were going on. Since then, I just, like I said yesterday, emailed out to about roughly 10 to 15 individuals. So I don't know if all of them got it or all of them were interested at all. I know there are a couple people here, at least that I do know of, that are interested in the issue. So any individual who wants to be a part of this or wants to come to any of the ad hoc dog committee meetings that could be coming up in the future, please feel free to come and get my card. I can get your information. I'll put you on my email list, and I will keep you in the know of all of the issues that are going on with this situation.
Great, thank you.
And I will say the email that I sent out, the majority of the people on it were dog people. I didn't send any extra. A couple garden people were on that, but.
Very good. Heather?
I'm just wondering, is this a good time to find out, since I'm hearing that with the with the new dog, if there is a move, it's a smaller area and already it's crowded, what will it look like to have something over at Pierce Street Park? That it's still in its formative stage, would be a good time to include it in the plan if it would fit.
Pierce Street, the Phase 1 is not in a formative stage. It is complete, and it actually is going to council out to bid, so it'll be on the next council agenda to release the bids again. But there, after Phase 1, there is the talk, as we've brought up before, of some sort of Phase 2, because it did not really deal with the big center section of Pierce Street Park. So once one gets out and is done, we may just start that discussion for Phase 2 for Pierce Street.
Because there's no construction, that's why I'm thinking formative. You can change plans. I know it's difficult, bureaucracy's difficult sometimes.
That one can't change because all the work has gone into the bid package. So
I see.
literally it is coming out next Monday.
Oh, okay.
So, which is exciting. Yeah. But in addition to, I mean, as we know, as we talked about Section B, Phase 2, it's the discussion that comes to Parks and Rec, and different groups come together to talk about things they want in that park. So some people want motocross bike things, and some people want a dog park. And so those are the types of discussions that happen at the commission.
So I think that I understand why staff brought this issue up as the swap and, connected Ocean View and Memorial Park, but I think that it makes it more complex because what happens at Section B doesn't necessarily have to affect what's going to happen at Ocean View. And so I would like to see the issues disassociated from each other and deal with Section B. Should it be a de facto dog park? Should it be a real dog park? Should it be a community garden? Deal with that issue first, and then if for whatever reason it gets swapped to a community garden, then we try to identify a location for a dog park in the city if that's what the community wants. But I think that there are many issues around Ocean View. I don't know if the school board rep is here, but equity issues, and I think that without having more input from Ocean View, I think it could pose some problems. So I would like to see the two parks sort of, like I said, dissociated and deal with them separately.
And I am the school board rep, so that's covered, although I will make sure to get feedback on that. I also have some other issues about the Ocean View Park, the Ocean View section that I'm concerned about. I think as a community garden, having the kind of secluded location is okay because you tend to garden during the day. But if this was an all-day dog area where people were walking the dog when they got home from work at 6 p.m., I don't believe that area is very well lit. And I think that would be a concern about safety in that area. I have seen on Nextdoor, there's been a few muggings in the area near the UC Village, and I would just be concerned about the seclusion that was mentioned by one of the people speaking here about that. So I was wondering if we were to propose this swap, I think there would have to be a developed safety lighting plan for that area. Also, getting back to the outreach, one great way to get to the dog owners would just be to post a sign in Section B to let them know that this meeting is happening. Yeah. I think those are my main points.
I participate in adult sports there, and on a game night, I'm parking, way down on the far, center field out on Buchanan if I come to one of the later games, and I'm imagining adding 10 cars to that. And I like what Ken had to add about, some sort of crossing there, potentially activating kind of the other side of the street for the parking. But nonetheless, I see that being an issue. And then the kids club or friendship club as well.
And people also park in the USDA parking area too.
Do they really?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So it's bad.
I never thought of that. That's great. Okay.
Your comment made me think about the complaints that we got from the neighbors who live on the hill with the lights and the noise from the games. And so I think that we would want to reach out to the neighbors on the hill as well, because if there's, I think that they would want to know about this as well.
I guess I would also be concerned, especially since it is a smaller area. Right now, they sneak in and they use the field over at Memorial Park. Well, they're going to sneak in and use this field too. The big dogs who really need some space to run are going to be in there.
Who's going to sneak? Someone's going to sneak someone?
Well, just if there's a problem now at the baseball field at the high school, I can see a similar thing happening. Now they have an even smaller space to run. So the dogs run out there. I think dogs go to that field either because they're big and they really need to stretch their legs, or they don't do well in a crowd of dogs. So they go to that field and run. And this would serve. So we're just going to shift the problem from one field to
Well,
another.
I mean, it is an issue already for Ocean View. There are a number of dogs on there, and a lot of adult sports. Our coordinator is picking up dog poop. So an issue that is a Parks and Rec is that there's an ordinance for Section A, but there isn't an ordinance for Ocean View's ball field.
It is posted no dogs,
No,
isn't it?
It specifically notes in the ordinance the Section A. Dogs are prohibited in Section A, but it does not address Ocean View's ball field. And so we have a number of, it's great because it keeps the Canada geese off the field, but the waste on the field is...
It's even harder to pick up after them, yeah. Okay.
And going back to the earlier comment about how would we keep dogs out of Section A, I think maybe there are people that are following the rules and they might stay out of Section A, but then they would go to other areas of Memorial Park, which would also could potentially be an issue.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that, and I can speak from my own experience, that the dog owners need to do a better job and be a little more aggressive at adhering to the rules and, enforcing the rules amongst ourselves. Because I know that I've been there when dogs have been barking, and I've gone up and said something, and I go up and pick up poop that is my dog's, But I think I definitely hear what the neighbors are saying, and I completely believe them, that it often is out of hand. But I don't necessarily see how shifting that so that we can pester the people with young children in University Village is going to help. I'm not sure it's going to be, because those are apartments right there, right? Just and if the solution is big trees, well, let's plant some big trees at Section B.
It makes Pierce Street seem more attractive since it's close to the freeway, and whereas at the bottom of the hill, it could be further away from houses.
Yeah. I wrote it down. Okay.
Any other comments on this at this point? The one last statement I would like to say is that this isn't about dogs using the park, it's about people using the park with their dogs. And I know that it's hard for me when I know my dog needs to get out and walk and I can't do it, for whatever reason. It's very difficult in the months that the park is closed because I feel bad. I want to take my dog out and exercise her, and there isn't a convenient place to do that. So we need to, kind of not think about this as dogs using the park. It's the people using the park with their dogs. I want to make that clear. Okay, any other comments at this time? No? All right, I would thank everybody who showed up and spoke on this topic. We will continue to have meetings on this, I believe, and we'll do our best to let everyone know.
Yes.
Be notified.
If you're interested, you can sign up on the city website to receive notifications about these meetings, including the coming ones. Something. That's a nice idea. Thank you.
Should we get an email list of the people here?
Yeah, I think that train has left the station. Alexa, there's a reason you're Citizen of the Year. Just capital thinking right there.
Hi, Tony.
All right. So we jumped over the Greenway item. So shall we turn back to that? Or was there something else you were staying for in particular, Alexa? Or okay. So we'll move back to the Greenway item.
Okay, the Greenway item. The Greenway. You guys remember that? It's still out there. We have not finished it. But
what?
I know. A couple little hiccups along the way. It's giving us a chance, though, to address the boulder that was brought up. I think, was it Pearson? Yes, nice. It got Bob from Restoration Hardware really thinking, and he sent a note, and the more he kept looking at the fake boulder, the more he hated it. So that's his conclusion. He wants it to go away permanently. He doesn't even want us to think about it. And so what he's been doing is talking to, he went to the boulder site to look at them and price them and figure out what that would take to get one there. But then he is also talking to, it's the timber form, the log idea, and getting prices for that. There was a little update to I'm not going to read through the whole staff report on this one, but from Bob, after he met with the timber form guy, he had a comment as he was thinking about the giant boulder and the age of the kids in the area, and he started to think that it may not be appropriate for that 2 to 5-year-old group that we're trying to capture who are coming out of the preschool. Again, this is completely up to you. But that was his comment. And so he started leaning more towards the log idea because it would be a little bit more playful and attractive to that younger group. So let me show you a couple of those pictures while you're here, just to remind you.
We have them, and I guess like Alexa's.
Alexa, we want to make sure you got them? Good. They're beautiful boulders. And that would be awesome. That's the basic review from Bob. Getting it there is a little bit tricky, and he's afraid that a contractor might see that and then price it higher based on, there's some logistics involved. And so what his recommendation is, and let me show you the logs, or unless you guys fine? I just want to show you the drawing. Alexa, you have it? I do. Okay. Nobody at home gets to see it, though. Plus, it's a sketch from Bob. So basically, these are big, nice logs. He will utilize our smaller boulders and that are already on the greenway. And what we're looking for tonight is Bob is suggesting that we put the logs in as the base with the base bid. It should come in at the same price as the fake boulder, and then the large boulder would be an add alternate option. And that is what his recommendation is. And I'm quoting, "The faux rock needs to go away."
Comments?
What do you think?
What I didn't see here was what he mentioned about the real stone before, and that a third of it would have to be buried. So we're looking at these pictures, and we're seeing the full stone. But I don't know, maybe I didn't entirely understand that. I wasn't sure why, because I don't think they're going to go anywhere. So maybe he did a little more research and found that wasn't necessary, but I would like to have that question answered. Although at the same time, imagining these stones a third buried, suddenly it does become appropriate for the 2 to 5-year-old. It's a lot lower.
Well, and he has 2 pictures, and one of the pictures, the rocks are bigger than the dude, but the second picture, the lower picture, I could see a 3-year-old, 5-year-old climbing on that little rock.
Yeah, and enjoying it.
Don't you bury 2/3 of it? Isn't that the...
I wish I could tell you that was the... Did he say a third? I can't see how it would need to be buried.
I thought he said a third,
yeah. I think it's a
that sounds
third.
about right. That rings a bell.
I'm sure there's something about you don't want people digging under it and...
Rats, maybe.
Kids digging under. I'm throwing that out.
My concern about the wood is, aging, and the wood will, ultimately rot in a way that a stone won't.
Well, he's onto this timber form, which is the alternative, so it's not an actual log.
Oh, it's manufactured.
It's...
You can do it. Ask him.
He's placed
You can do it, Aileen. You can do it.
fake wood.
Yeah, I know. What is he thinking? Oh, it's just because he's not here.
We'll switch. Yeah, we'll teach him. I see. So, even that is it's not forever. I have to. Yeah. Okay.
And even a real boulder has its wear and tear when you're going to be climbing on it.
Yeah, redwood logs.
The weather too.
Decision is entirely up to you. If you want to stick with the boulder idea, we can say we're going to go real boulder.
I prefer the log idea. Looking at the picture, it just looks to me like more kids could play on it at the same time than the rock. I also know that my kids love walking along anything. I can't get them to walk anywhere in a speedy manner if there's like a wall on the way because they have to climb it and walk it. I think that if, considering the proximity to the preschool, I would prefer the log structure. However, I had not thought about the aging. The way that the report was written, he said that it would be the redwood as the primary idea, and he might have to sub it with the manufactured. I don't know what a manufactured log looks like.
Looks like that.
This one's manufactured?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm okay with that one.
Mm-hmm. It said the example logs from timber form and then a sketch with the two things he provided, so.
Okay. These would be redwood logs trimmed and sanded and placed in, and
That's
what
one
this,
idea.
That's what this looks like.
And then it says that the other option is a manufactured one, and then he met with the timber form representative and has looked at the logs, and he thinks that they look nice.
Yeah, I don't think this picture is that it says log structure only included as an example of how this would look at the Greenway. It doesn't say material, but I neither way.
The text here, it says, see example of logs from timber form.
Yeah,
And this was the only,
in the picture.
which says structure only.
See
Log
example of
structure.
logs from timber form.
I think he's saying that it's not the other stuff in the picture.
Yeah. And then he made a drawing of how he might lay it out.
Oh, log structure only. I see.
Yeah.
All right, well, all right.
And I like the idea of using redwood. Part of it is because we are along the redwood coast here, so we can talk about redwood children.
Well, I still like the big stone idea. I certainly hear you when you talk about something to walk along and jump off of and the like.
It looks like they could provide seating as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. As could the rock.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So and if you're attached to that, the boulder, if it's not the big boulder, but those 5 other fairly large boulders he has placed in that sketch with the logs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed, I'm not sure which block it's on, but there's 3 or 4 medium-sized boulders on the Alona Greenway right now, just kind of like around
Those
the
are the
street.
ones,
I think
yeah,
those
they're
are
just
them.
waiting.
Okay, these are, okay.
They were moved from this slope. I guess it was a fountain originally, and then it was a
Okay.
There was
sandbox.
a sand pit, yeah.
Okay, that's what these are. Thank
what
you,
they are.
sorry.
And they moved them in construction and just left them in that spot.
Yeah.
So they'll come back.
I think they're bigger than this picture suggests.
They're significantly smaller
They're
than
smaller
the
than that.
small rock.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Guy
Right.
standing next
They're
to it.
half the size maybe, or no,
Or
like
like
a
a
Not
third?
even,
like-
yeah.
They're like
Like a
quarter.
fifth or something, I think.
Yeah, they're
Like-
quite a bit smaller.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I think everybody said what their opinion was, or what they preferred. I like the rocks, but that's because I'm a geologist, so.
Trees are transient.
That's right. That rock's gonna last a long time.
Yeah.
That's true. But they will.
Longer than the tree, the log.
And I'm just having flashbacks to the park horse with the rotting logs over the years, and you know,
Yeah.
being a hazard and not looking good, and
That's why but if this is what the fake wood looks like, it looks pretty good to me. If the fake wood has a long life, assuming it does, otherwise what would be the point of fake wood?
I've seen it at the new, at Mission Dolores Park. They have it in their brand-new playground. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So, Emma, did you say you had a preference?
I have a preference for the redwood logs, yes.
For a real redwood log, okay. Or for
It
this?
says these would be redwood logs trimmed and sand.
But then he went on to talk about the timber form logs,
Oh,
which,
okay.
we can open this for public comment? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, very good. I didn't think. All right, so what do we want to recommend? Okay, so yeah, here's pictures of the timber form. That's the timber form website, and it does look like that.
Okay.
Guess I'm not reading that.
I know,
It's not,
it was,
It was a conversation after the
okay.
report was prepared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Been a
And
little
I was
ongoing.
thinking of Redwood and our Redwood coast.
Yes, I know. We are,
Things to talk to your children about.
it's true.
So the recommendation would be timber form number 1, redwood number 2, stone number 3. Is that, I mean, stone is the alternative, add alternate.
The add alternate, and then it would, well, do you want to throw in the natural redwood as an option?
Well, it seems like that's
Or
what he's
the-
suggesting.
His final suggestion is going with timber form,
Right.
which is the manufactured log
And what would be,
for the boulder. So have the logs in the base bid, so included the
Right.
number of logs, and then as an add alternate, put the boulder in to see how they're going to price that.
and would the redwood logs be comparable? I'm trying to think of why you would choose timber form over redwood or vice versa. Is it just for the durability and the,
Yeah, I think it's
okay,
what you brought
okay,
up, yeah.
uniformity? Okay.
I mean, are we in agreement that, so there are 5 of us, should we vote to see which one we want to recommend? Because because since I like the rock, if somebody makes a motion to say the timber form goes first, I'm going to say no, but we should, if we all decide which one we want first and which we want second, then we can all be unanimous.
Okay.
Or maybe you can just discuss further. So I just visited Muirwood recently, and I was told about how there's the resin in the redwood, and that's why it's so durable. And so I'm getting a different message now. This artificial one, this false redwood would be more durable.
But that resin is with a live redwood, and, I don't know if you have
It
a redwood.
stays in the
If you have a
the
redwood deck, like I have a redwood deck, and it didn't last more than 5 years. And that's why people these days are getting those like synthetic wood decks,
Oh.
because redwood only lasts a certain amount of time. Not a lifetime, like redwood fences, redwood decks, redwood furniture.
Oh, they don't make them like they
No.
used to. Okay.
No.
I'm an amateur Googler, but
Good.
it looks like timber form is actually, it is real wood. It's lathed and kiln dried. So it is wood, but it's not plastic or anything else. It's just how it's processed.
That's
So that's why it
turned
looks so
Douglas
good.
fir, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
good. Thank you.
I would still go number 1 with the big rock. And then I like the idea of something a little challenging and maybe with a little, I don't want to say danger, but a little risky, because I think that's important to be there. But I can see both sides on that one.
Do you want to make a motion on the rock and see what happens?
And it would be these rocks.
Well, I don't know if it's exactly those, but it would
Okay.
be one of them, a rock of that size, a single rock of that size.
I'm just thinking about the grooves to climb on, and it's like, wow, this is too smooth to climb, maybe.
Well, that's why you want artificial rock.
I think
Well,
Bob
he
would
go-
select one.
He would go to the
Yeah.
quarry, and
Yeah.
he would pick something that he thinks is appropriate. I mean, I think at those quarries,
Yeah,
they have
like maybe
many
this one.
kinds. Yeah, I mean, and it also depends what texture rock you get. Like,
Yes.
you're not gonna get marble, you'll get something that's granite, so it's got a little bit more feel to it, so.
And it'll chip away as you climb on it, too.
No, confident rock. So I'll make a motion to modify what it says here
Yes.
and have the rock be in the plans and the logs be the alt.
Okay.
I'll second that. I should call for a vote then, shouldn't I? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, then we have that sorted out.
A motion? I would motion that we have the timber form be the primary with the rock as secondary or alternate.
Add alternate, yeah.
Add alternate. And I guess as a third option, we could have natural redwood logs, but we only need to have 2.
We just need the 2, yeah.
Could we get some information on how long those last?
The logs? Yeah.
Well, you're the Googler over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
As long as a rock.
Not as long as a rock, yes.
Well, we have a motion, should
We do. No, do we have, oh, we do have, we don't have a second yet. We don't have a second.
I didn't hear it.
So the motion is basically to accept the recommendation, to make the, if I'm properly restating it, make the timber form structure the primary.
Let me amend that. I would
Okay.
like to motion that we make the timber form the primary bid, the base bid, as long as it has a lifetime of,
I don't know.
20 years? Based on previous installations and the manufacturer's guidance.
Okay.
Well, that's the condition.
I would just guess on their guidance. They must have a sense of how long it would last. And if we find that it is less than 20 years, then I would have the rock be the primary base bid and switch it.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right. Seeing no nays, very good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the
Okay.
confusion on that.
Couple more little items. Memorial Park bathroom project.
Yes, and I didn't bring my ugly bathroom pictures. I'm sorry. I wanted to gross you out one more time since it is Music in the Park season.
Yes.
But I put this on here to give you an update, number one, and number two, just get some comments from you and input into your thoughts on when you enter the new Memorial Park bathroom of what you dream you will encounter. We are hiring a local architect to do the quick design of it, and that is Stacy Eisman. And so coming from this meeting, I will meet with her and pass along comments and input, and she knows our budget, so that's good. And then she will come back to a commission meeting to present ideas to you.
How many stalls are there currently in the bathroom?
There are 2 women's stalls. One is ADA, and the men's side, there's a urinal and a stall.
I'm thinking about all gender bathrooms, but there's probably no room to fit that in there.
In one of them, or just change the outside signage?
Yeah, well, if you had like a third bathroom, then that would be the all gender bathroom, but.
There is not a space for a third in that, not in that space, no. No. There's a door there, is what you're thinking of. There's a door in the middle, which is a janitor closet.
Okay.
So what we've been talking to Stacy about is some sort of resurfacing of those floors. They're cement, they're porous, and they smell. So doing something to seal those or change them so it looks nice, and we're not sure what that means. In the estimate that we were giving her was removing those plywood walls, redoing the walls, putting all of the electrical inside the walls, and so that it feels nicer and clean. Those are the words I'm using with her: clean and
and easier
bright.
to clean.
Yes, easy to clean, exactly. There'll be new amenities, so new stalls, new sinks, and those basic things. Lighting,
I think
improved
lighting is important, is the thing I was going to say. Adequate light.
Do we have the low-flow toilets, or is it
I'm sure.
already?
We, and I'm glad you brought that up. So automatic flushing toilets is a big thing, because most of it's kids that use it and they don't flush. But yes, automatic flushing. We have the little part you put on it so it reduces the flush on it.
Okay.
So toilets were included in that. Yeah, I can add it on the list.
This might be a nice to have, but a toddler stool for the sink?
Yeah, we're investigating. I don't know if you've been to Bacante, but they have the little hydraulic one, which is fantastic. So we ordered those for the community center. We're going to try to make sure that it can fit in that space, because we have to leave a certain clearance for a wheelchair to be able to come up and wash hands too. So, but I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's not that, it's something else.
Okay. I think the factors that I would consider would be using graffiti-resistant materials, or at least ones that can easily clean off, and right-sizing the trash can.
What did you say about the trash?
Right-sizing it.
Right-sizing, yeah. And is there a drain in the floor? Can you just go hose it down? I'm trying to remember.
I think there is,
It's
but
probably full of sand, though, isn't it?
the men's side, we had the flooring redone, and it looked great, but the Little Leaguers came over in cleats, and so it all wore off.
No, it's true. Well,
And
it's,
so-
it's there to be used. It's not there to not be used.
Well, that motivated Gail, he renovated the Little League bathrooms for them, and we requested that they stop going the other way, since they have bathrooms right on the backside of their snack shack.
This might be dreaming too big, but what do you call those?
Light well.
A light well? What's the word I'm thinking of, though?
Skylight.
Skylight.
There's a skylight in there, believe it or not,
There
but you're
is, yeah.
distracted by the smell, and so you probably don't
No,
enjoy
there is.
it.
There's a skylight.
Okay.
But yes, natural light.
But light in addition. I want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
And one bulb in one corner isn't going to quite cut it.
No.
Any other comments on this item?
Are you guys afraid of any sort of style or feel?
I like what they did at,
Oh, yeah, it was a manufactured, building.
It's like, it seems super clean.
Yeah. Minimal, you like the minimal.
Even the ocean view. Seems like it's easy to clean. I don't think public
No, it probably won't be fancy, but
Smooth walls where you can just hose it down.
yeah. Yeah, easy to clean.
Okay. Any
Okay.
other items on that? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Public comment.
yeah.
Sorry.
Been waiting all night.
Alexa Hauser. I am, given current issues around gender in bathrooms, it does concern me that it's just a female and a male. And I wonder if the commission would consider going a really different route, which is essentially having porta potties there and a sink outside. So that anyone can use. And the reason that I think that might be more feasible than having individual stalls inside is I think that porta potties are less fun to play in, but when they opened the 2 individual room bathrooms in the snack shack, they were absolutely disgustingly used every single day. So bowel movements were spread everywhere. We were horrified because we have vegetables growing like 4 feet from there, and if somebody hosed that off, that was the end of all those vegetables. So I don't recommend indoor, nice, little bathrooms for individual people because I think they're abused. But porta potties aren't so much, because they're not that fun to play in, because they're kind of disgusting. So anyway, that's my suggestion.
Are you suggesting in addition or in lieu of the
In
toilet?
lieu of.
Okay.
In lieu of the loo?
In lieu of spending money to upgrade bathrooms that don't address the gender issues and that have the kinds of problems that you're trying to solve in the upgrade. Porta potties I don't know what they cost, but I'm guessing it's less over time and
And they save
highly
water, too.
function. Yeah, definitely save water, yeah.
So you would just demolish the bathroom? What you're thinking is...
I'm not the person who can sort out all the details. I'm just offering that as another thing for you guys to
I just wanted
consider.
clarification. You had said not in addition to our flush toilets.
Right,
So
correct.
it's in place of it.
Correct.
Okay.
That was my idea. Could be in addition to, but.
Okay. Thank you.
And I considered the idea of just, turning the urinal and the men's room back into another stall and making them both just open, but I'm not sure, with the kids, and I'm just not sure that's the right way to go at that location. I like the idea of a family restroom, kind of a third option somewhere. I think that's a better option. But there you go. Oh, we could use the space that we've given Transition Auto for storage, turn that into a restroom. No, okay. Moving right along.
I have thoughts about all gender bathrooms, but I have to formulate them.
Okay. Would it pertain on this project, or do you think it'd be another project?
I think that it's very important to provide all gender options, but I also recognize that there are people who prefer to have a single-sex bathroom, and I would not recommend getting rid of one. I think if there was a way to add a third bathroom that was all gender, or a family bathroom, because when my husband takes my daughter to the park, she's perfectly happy to go into the men's room, but some people think that's weird. Or vice versa. Right now, my 7-year-old just goes into the men's room, but when he was 5, I brought him with me into the women's, and I think most people are fine with that, but it is an issue.
What do you think about the idea of removing the urinal?
Would you remove the urinal and then just make them both
stalls?
Anything? Like just have just label them bathrooms, which really, who cares? People go in there, they close the door.
Well, I'm just thinking of what's happened with the Little League restrooms, and you're getting.
Well, Little League, we had an issue with them locking. They're supposed to have them open when they're there, and we had a problem with someone didn't lock them, and then they were as described. And so.
So it wasn't a Little League user, it was somebody else.
Oh, yes, we hopefully now they're getting locked, but there was a horrible situation. Yes, but that was a locking. They're supposed to open them when they're there.
I'm just imagining a pack of 10-year-old boys, one-on-one, fine, but you get a pack of them, and who knows what's going to happen.
We have high schooler who smoke pot in the men's bathroom, which is terrible.
Am I supposed to be surprised?
Well, except that it blows into the preschool. And
well, I'm not happy about it, but I'm not surprised. Yeah.
So lots of things happen in the bathrooms, but this removing a stall, at least if I needed to go in, if I was taking my son or someone into the men's bathroom, then it's just stalls. It's not like someone's peeing right when you walk in.
Yeah.
Right, but
and I don't.
So would you replace the urinal with a stall, but still leave it as the men's room?
Yes. Well, no, I was thinking they were just supposed to be open, was my initial suggestion, but maybe Shelley's saying it'd just be friendlier. You could still leave it in the men's room, but just have 2 toilets.
Yeah, but you could go the next step of just saying they're bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that might be out of the purview of the Parks and Recreation Commission to
we can recommend
set gender policy on bathrooms.
Yeah, we can recommend it. But.
Has anybody been to seen the bathrooms at Whole Foods where it's like they share a sink, and then it's just, you walk in, it's like stall. And so, I don't know, I find that people who use those bathrooms, and I'm not there that often, but people are quick, because like there's nobody standing in front of the mirror. Like when you're waiting in line while they're, with men and women together. I mean, you still have the men go to one side and the women go to the other, but I think having that common sink area speeds people along.
Yeah.
And it's also sort of open, everybody walks into the same common area and then you go off. There are no doors that close on either end, so I think that there may be less funny business that goes on.
That's like the I think it's called Gabe Catafo sports area in 4th and Harrison, where you go in, the sinks are in the middle, and then the doors are open, men, women. But it can still be filthy too.
Yeah.
I would support the idea of converting them both into just 2 stalled bathrooms.
I don't know what that would be budget-wise. And I also don't know if the men's room is as large as the, because I know the area for the urinal is quite small. I don't know if there's enough room for full stalls there.
I'll have to look, because on the women's side, the non-ADA stall is pretty small.
Yeah.
And we can look what the footprint size is, but in terms of the architect at that, their involvement right now, it would be removing the urinal and making a stall, and then we could decide how we want them to be used, in terms of changing the signage on the outside, right?
Sure, that'd be a separate question.
Yeah.
We just open the possibility.
Could that result in a messier men's bathroom? Because I know that kids don't aim very well. And actually, like, both bathrooms might end up being
I know,
gross.
be careful, right?
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice not having.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, there's so many people that go to the, it's a park. It's a bathroom by a park, and a lot of kids go when they get to that certain age, go into the bathroom by themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that there are going to be issues if you have, if you have a 6-year-old daughter and you have her go into a bathroom and there's a 40-year-old man next to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'd feel about that. So I think that, like, trying to, having 2 bathrooms that each have 2 stalls and neither being assigned male or female, you may end up creating more of a mess because every parent is going to go in there with their child.
I like the idea of asking the architect now to design it that way, leaving the possibility open for further debate. If we put a urinal in there, pretty much it's set. But if we have 2 stalls, then it's a little more open and flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's going to happen? We might find a way to join them through that clause in the middle. I don't know, but
Are you guys all fine with at least just removing the urinal part discussion? I think that sounds good, because.
Yeah.
okay. Lighting, and there we go. All right.
And come back to the other question.
Was there another question? Can we move on?
The
now?
question of how you will label the
Signage.
bathrooms, signage. You
Well,
can
that's
talk about
another
that
issue.
later.
That's a whole nother,
Yeah.
and that, I think you're right, that's probably more than we want to take on our own. Although all we can do is recommend anyway.
Again, it's great, it's great to have a commission that you can have a dialogue with the community and what they want. I
Yeah.
mean, this is
Yeah.
where you do it.
Yeah. I would note that if you convert, especially if you convert the urinal into a stall, like, fear about bathrooms is pervasive, but I don't understand where it's founded, because, like, if there's a stall, like, what would someone see? Like, what would happen? Like, the fear of a trans person going into the bathroom, and what would they see? It's like, well, that's why you have doors on the bathrooms. The fear of someone attacking you, well, that's still illegal. Like, so, digression.
And finally, another bonus for the toilet is that it's easier for very young kids to use than a challenging.
Is it really?
It can be.
Not for my kids. My kids prefer the
It
urinal.
depends on height. I mean, there's a lot of
Okay.
variables. If you make it low enough for little kids, it's hard for taller people to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't want to go into more detail. No, we're still talking about toilets. We're talking about toilets. This is relevant. This is relevant. Yeah, I know.
I
All right,
don't
moving
know.
on, moving on.
But I want to ask a question about toilets. Do we want toilets that do not have seats? I've gone to toilets where there are no seats.
Really?
Yes,
Do you
it's easier
enjoy
to
that?
clean. It's easier to clean.
Especially, I would say, especially not if we're doing the.
Yeah.
Especially when there's no urinal.
Especially if we're taking away the urinal, I would like a seat that you can.
Oh, you want the seat to go up and down?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I've been to those where there's no seat, and
But for little kids,
but it's easier to clean.
It's hard if you send your kid in to go to the bathroom, there's no seat, and then they try to sit on the
Okay,
seat
then
thing.
scratch
Yeah.
that
I
thought.
agree. All right,
Like-
moving on.
Yeah.
Friends of Albany Parks update.
This is quick.
Yeah.
This is,
This Saturday
I'm
is Tom.
fairly, we have not talked about Terrace Park Gala, have we? That happened in.
I went to it. Did we talk?
Yeah, you guys went to it.
And we skipped your whole director's report.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
It's all the good
Oh my
stuff
God,
at the
it's
very
almost
end.
9:30.
I know. So the gala at Terrace was great. A lot of good input. We probably had 40 people there, and they had some good input. The cleanup day was fantastic. They moved the big tree stumps, and there was a lot of great community effort in it, so it was great. Surprisingly, at the Dartmouth Totlock Gala, we did not have anyone show up.
Really?
I don't know how it happened.
When was it?
Yeah.
It was It's our basic, on our normal, I think it's a Wednesday night.
And it's on a Wednesday, and
But the cleanup is this weekend, so if you guys are interested in going by, we're warning residents and people around that area that use the tot lot that we'll be replacing their fence and putting in a triple, which should be exciting news. Some people may not think it's exciting. There was that whole painting of the fence.
Yeah.
But we're going to replace their fence with a nice new fence and new gates as part of the Measure WW.
So we're putting in a triple?
We're putting in one of the triples. We're removing, you know,
What's a triple?
big belly
Oh,
compost.
okay.
Sorry, recycled trash.
I thought she was talking about the fence.
Yeah.
she was looking for the fence, and there's triple, huh?
And replacing the drinking fountain, which has had, remember, many issues with kids hitting their heads on it. Yes. So those are our big three for that park. And and a new sign, I think, is the last.
Okay, yeah.
That's it for
And
that.
Creekside cleanup on the 1st.
Yes. Just to
Okay.
clean up for that one.
Did you want to have a director's report moment?
You know what, it's really just announcements. You heard about the Pier Street Park bid going on the next council meeting. That's exciting.
Did you want somebody from this commission to be at that meeting?
It is just a release of the bid.
It's the bid.
It's on the
not
consent
design.
calendar,
Yeah.
yes.
It's just the bid, right.
It should be fast and people will be
This is just a
happy.
milestone, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
This is of note, though, in our July council meeting, this came up, it was on a different topic, but there was a request to have an Albany Hill workshop. And to be hosted here, we will probably host it in November. And that's just to have a discussion about the hill, the master plan, and to prioritize what projects we're actually going to take on and in what order. So it was brought up that we might be doing a lot of vegetation management, but we're not doing enough projects, or maybe some of the vegetation management is more important than taking on a big project at a certain time. So their Albany Hill, Friends of Albany Hill, and some other interested parties would like to have a workshop on it just to discuss the priorities, as requested by Councilwoman McQuaid. So look for that coming. I think it will be November. Dinner with Albany. We are sold out. Tonight, I have almost finished all your table locations of sitting out your exact location. I got yours out. And I will finish that tonight. So we extended all the way to Talbot this year. We'll probably added about 100 and some odd tables to the mix. It's gonna be great. There'll be including restaurants, about 550 tables on the street. So we're excited. 5:30 at 9:30, September 24th. Albany Local Week. We challenge residents to do everything in Albany for 1 week. So get your hair cut, go bowling, attend one of the numerous recreation events that are happening that week, starting with Block Movie Night at As You Wish Yogurt, which is the Saturday the 17th. Marin Monster, where they run up Marin, it's a 10K, and around on Sunday. Sunday night is Sunday Night Food Truck in the parking lot of the community center. Monday, we may not have anything going on. Gosh. Tuesday is something else, garden swap. Wednesday's Music in the Park and the Senior Center open house. Thursday is the Pizza and Wine Block Party, which happens up at Little Star. We do it with Solano Cellars, and it will be in the post office parking lot behind Little Star. And Friday, we don't do anything, and then dinner with Albany. You earn points for doing things, get a scorecard, and enter. Everybody who enters, even children, receive a special prize at the end. What else is on there? Music in the Park started last night. Have you all been to a Music in the Park? David, gotta go, Wednesday. If you want to know where everybody is in Albany on Wednesday, they're at Memorial Park.
It's huge.
It's huge, and you know what? It makes me, except for the bathrooms, but it just makes me feel so happy. There are 8,000 children trying to be on that playground structure at one time, running. Both my kids got run over by people.
I love that.
It's fantastic. Except we didn't have any lost children. That's when you know it's a really great night, when we have at least 3 lost children. We always find them.
So what's the emergency tree removal at 522 Carmel? Is that?
522 Carmel was a dead tree.
Yeah, so that's just
Yes.
a report on that.
And so
Okay.
he has to report those to me, and I put it on the agenda just to let you know. So
So last year, food truck night, they ran out of food. Get more food.
We had food trucks, and we had people who flaked. That's why
Oh,
we
they
didn't have
didn't
enough
show
food.
up.
You had huge turnout.
We had a huge turnout. We had 2 other trucks that did not show up, and we had an issue with one of our other trucks not getting enough food, so you're absolutely right. I think they have 5 trucks lined up for this year. So there should be enough food.
So this is for local week?
Perfect. Local week, yes.
So why do you bring out-of-town vendors in for local week? I'm just curious.
We don't have any
Don't have any
food
restaurants?
trucks.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
taco truck by.
We ask them, they can't move it, they can't move it, they won't move it. Our only registered business as a food truck is Bofo Cart, which is not even a truck, it's a tent with a barbecue. And you see him at all of our events, but,
Anything else on the director's report?
no, thank you.
Agenda items? I would like to see something about, I'm not sure if the next meeting or what, but I'm curious about this idea. Basically, the bikes on Pierce Street Park, but what I'm curious about is what the plan is for that little diamond at the top, that little triangle at the top. Is there any plan for that? Do we know?
No.
Because that's kind of what they're interested in, because they want a slope, they want a rough area. And so,
Yes, Mr. Russell sent me a note asking, we can put it on there.
I would like, yeah. Pardon? He said he would do a presentation, and I happen to know that there's a Girl Scout in my daughter's troop who's working on her Gold Award. She's really interested in helping with that. But, clock's tick on that, so we'll see.
Also, was there the Albany Bulb art?
Well, that,
Okay.
excuse me. So Susan was in conversation with Shelley about that, and Shelley kind of pointed out it's not really under the Parks and Rec Commission.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes, she's made a presentation to the Arts Committee, which was very logical. The issue is that, as you know, we're in talks about the MOU, transitioning that land, East Regional Park District, and that's our #1 goal right now. And so the city isn't willing to enter into a large event permit right now. Doesn't mean that that's going to always be. But she has been given permission to do a small gathering to talk about art or something in like the Cove, and she's been talking to the East Bay Regional Park District about using the beach for some sort of event over there. But as far as the full art festival, we're just not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very minutia. She pointed out some poison oak that started growing after some soil was dumped. You might want to connect with her because we would want to nip that poison oak in the bud before it spreads throughout the whole park. It's in the bulb.
Oh. Did she say which?
She can point it out. We walked out.
We went on a little walk with her.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Basically,
Okay.
it's if you go out and there's a point where you take kind of the main path onto the bulb and it splits. You went straight there, right? It was kind of right in through there. That she pointed out there was poison oak right here. I might be misremembering.
Yeah, I could probably pin it on a Google map
But
and send it to you.
and, that has the same stuff that's in ginkgo biloba fruit. So we want to get rid of that. Okay. With that, I think we can close this meeting. Thank you. I knew it was going to be a long one tonight. There was no way.